Hey everybody, how you doing? And thank you for joining me. I apologize for starting a little later than I intended to, but I wanted to make sure everything was set up perfectly and also recovering from a nice Christmas. I hope you had a great Christmas as well. The news here. Hey everybody, how you doing? And thank you for joining me. I apologize for starting a little later than I intended to, but I wanted to make sure everything was set up perfectly and also as I was saying, enjoying Christmas. The news here is that this morning I was passed more than just a piece of information, like someone, send you a call or a text, but an email with a document that you can see right here at Oakland News Now. At the base of it, it actually was used as a basis for what you see at Oakland News Now. And if you're wondering what that arrow is, that simply is this morning I was past the live stream, right? But I digress. But if you scroll down through this 2,000 word post, at the bottom is the actual proposal, which is here. Confidential letter of intent to the City of Oakland, which is interesting because when you are submitting something to a public organization and public money is involved, one has the right to ask to see emails, documents, that sort of thing. So, and that's certainly true in this case. That's the Oakland News Now version, and the actual other version of it, to show you, the original version is a PDF file that is here. Excuse me for a second. While I refresh this page, let me refresh this page one moment so that I can make sure the StreamYard system pulls this up. One moment, don't go anywhere. Okay, I'm back. I'm trying to get it to where it shares the actual PDF, which at times, depending on the RAM, can be tricky, the RAM availability. That's why I was clearing my system, right? So if I go to share screen here now, and here it is, this is the PDF. And that's the middle of it. Let me go back to the start of it. This is page 1 of 7. It says Dave Stewart and LJB Enterprises, LLC development team. Now, LBJ does not have anything to do with Lyndon Baines Johnson, and it's not LeBron James with a B in it or anything like that. LBJ stands for a person named, and it's not Larry, it's Laray, L-A, and then with a large R, Laray J. Benton, CEO of LJB, which ostensibly means Laray J. Benton Enterprises, LLC, and it's signed by Dave Stewart. And this proposal purports to have partnerships, or at least some desire to work with tribal casinos, resort hotel, RV resort, National Black and Latinx Biotech and STEM campus, National Black, Tribal, and Latinx banking, insurance, and mortgage lending development, and HBCU-tribal partnerships. Then it says it has national and regional relationships with Topgolf, Main Event, Wawa gas station, Planet Fitness, Starbucks Coffee, Target, CVS, health clinics, Marriott, Hilton, and Radisson National Hotel flags. It was submitted on the 11th, November 16th, 2020. So it was sent to, says Reskin. It actually goes to not Ed Reskin, but the gentleman in economic development I'm not going to name, who gets it. Actually, his name is Laray Gallegos, but that shouldn't necessarily be a secret. And then it says, Dear Honorable Mayor Schaaf and the City of Oakland, the collaborative, development team of Dave Stewart and L. Oh, let me say something first before I continue. If you have a question to ask, you want to type it here, and I'll show it if it's most appropriate to do so. I will show it here, okay? And then I'll address the question you have. I'm not going to read the whole thing, just some salient parts, so don't worry. My plan is to not bore you to death, but this is development stuff, okay? It says that the collaborative development team of Dave Stewart and LJB Enterprises, LLC, are writing this letter to provide a letter of intent from Dave Stewart and LJB in respect of the potential acquisition and development of over 80 acres of property, buildings, and entitlements, assets owned by the City of Oakland in and around the Coliseum, which is referred to as transaction. And it said they would be ecstatic and humbled by the opportunity to partner with the City of Oakland and implement our proven concept of community service-centered development. Keep that in mind, in which we take a community-first planning, design, financing, and development approach. We believe that through various community engagement initiatives, if we simply ask our community partners what services, amenities, and support that their community lacks and identify what the constituents need, want, and desire, we can then reverse engineer a viable and strategic master plan, financing plan, leasing plan, marketing plan, healthcare plan, and social services plan that is tailor-fit to each community, by which its legacy residents would then in turn better patronize the future businesses, healthcare, social services, and recreational facilities that our development provides. Simply, the Dave Stewart and LJB development team desires to create viable opportunities for Black, Latinx, Native American, and other legacy residents within the City of Oakland to participate in the economic development of their own communities. Now, note, all this is well and good, but guess what? It's got nothing to do. It's got nothing to do with sports at all. And my question is, how did Dave come to even submit a proposal? There is no process here. All right. Now, I'm not being critical of them, but I'm being critical as I was critical as expressed in the post that I wrote at Oakland News Now, the City of Oakland, because this came about as the result of no process. But let me continue, okay? It goes down to discuss the transaction overview and proposed purchase offer, which is $115 million. Now, in all of this, there's no statement about where the financing is going to come from, except that it's going to be cash. But it doesn't say if they have a partnership with a bank or, candidly, what's attractive about Ray Bobbitt's proposal, aside from the right between your eyes intent to have an all Black or mostly Black ownership team to bring the NFL back to Oakland, is that they're partnered with Loop Capital, whose wealth and access to wealth is unquestioned, and whose involvement in financing is unquestioned and can be readily researched online without any trouble at all. This is different by a lot. Okay. So, and I'll show you why I say that as we continue. It goes on, based on our preliminary review of available public information and subject to the conditions set forth, Dave Stewart and LJB is pleased to submit this non-binding proposal. We propose purchasing 100% of any and all fee simple real property, deeds, entitlements, easements, permits, improvements, assets, and or future benefits associated with a Coliseum development site, free and clear of all debt, taxes, lien, liabilities, and any other encumbrances that may be associated with the transaction. Now let's stop right there, okay? Let me highlight myself why I say this. That's a tall order. That means that in the final outcome of that, based on what they're saying they can do, they would pay for bonds that would have to be let, which means that they would have to show what income streams would finance, even if it's a private bond. Or if they want to do an industrial development bond, they have to ask for a special waiver through the federal government so they can do it for a project over $20 million. And if they have housing, there's another leeway there as well. The law should be changed to make it more flexible, but that's another story, okay? That's one big issue that is sticking out. And they don't have in this proposal any way of showing floor funds or dollars. All this is demand side. What I mean by that? I mean that they're saying, hey, look, we'll help build the channel to get people to want to be at and to use the facilities that we put at Coliseum City. But that's the demand side. But the supply, that's the demand side. But the supply side is really a supply financing side. In other words, where's your money going to come from to build this, let alone the 115 million that you say you have in cash, unless maybe they won the lottery or something, or Dave is just fabulously rich and has 115 million to drop. Don't know, but those are questions that are going to come out at some point. In the way the city of Oakland's lack of a process, as well as how they handle themselves in meetings, like saying, well, do you have the money to do this, rather than upfront asking for a certain gate. And then if a person isn't, or an organization doesn't have the proper financing and perhaps needs assistance, perhaps the city can make them with the bank if the city wants to work with that organization. But the city has zero, nothing, no guidelines. And this isn't normally how the city works. When we had redevelopment in place and the city would release RFPs, requests for proposals, those requests for proposals had a boilerplate for what you were supposed to provide. And since redevelopment was killed by Jerry Brown when he was governor, the city of Oakland has, over time and not intentionally through legislation, but through act of process. In other words, focusing on other issues, and also, frankly speaking, electing people who don't have this sort of interest in background or a business interest, not so much business background, business interest, to call for this. What's happened is that this has deteriorated, and I'm using that term intentionally, into the free-for-all that one City of Oakland at least has admitted exists, and it does by analysis, okay? By not just analysis, but by looking at what they allow. Anybody, you can submit a proposal like this. You hear what I'm saying? I'm not encouraging you to do so, unless, of course, you feel like you have a great idea. Why not? But there's nothing to stop you, per se. So I'll continue. What you have in this proposal is you have a name. You have Dave Stewart. That's the one gigantic, very rich advantage this proposal has. But as I continue, realize that's about it. So it says, we humbly offer a total purchase price for the land of $115 million at cash at closing, inclusive of all debt, as I said. And it said the transaction is the highest priority for us, and we're prepared to proceed as quickly as possible. And we pray that the City of Oakland is committed to working toward the same. And then they say that the document serves to set forth the basic terms necessary for Dave Stewart and LJB or assignee, which is interesting, to enter into a contract of sale or purchase contract for the purchase of property. Now, or assignee is interesting. Does that mean that they are willing to partner with Way Bobbitt and his group? Anyway, the proposed details, they want to be offered the site. Let's discuss the purchase price. The initial deposit is controversial. Excuse me. Just $10,000. That's it. Just $10,000. Not $1 million, not $5 million, but $10,000. They're saying that they want to put up $10,000. I'm not kidding you. That's what's there in black and white. It's also in the Oakland News Now Post, which is, by the way, sticky on the front page. It says, within 10 business days after execution of the purchase contract Buyer will deposit earnest money in the amount of $10,000 with a title company licensed with a national title insurance company deposit as determined by the buyer. The deposit shall be held in escrow until closing. Said deposit shall be refundable to the buyer and shall be credited toward the purchase price at closing. So in other words, of the 115 million they say they can pay, they want to I'm sorry. They want to put they want to put 10 they want to put $10,000 up front. I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh at Dave Stewart or Laray, but Benson, but when you're used to development organizations saying they'll put up millions and hold hell millions in escrow, like 5 million, $10,000 is a real, well, you know, okay. At any rate, said deposit, okay, said purchase contract shall be negotiated and executed at a later date following the expiration of the contract inspection and feasibility period. Okay. Then it says that Dave Stewart shall have a period of 180 days from the signing in order to perform its due diligence on the proposed projects to include soils testing, title search, market research, national contractor negotiations, detailed and preliminary site plans, and discussions with local planning board staff and marketing. Buyer shall have the right to cancel a contract upon written notice at any time during the contract inspection and feasibility period. Now, part of this, if the city had a professional process, would be such that anyone who is interested who passed the city's tests or gate, okay, would then be allowed to have information regarding soils, title, so that none of this business would have to be done, because this road has already been hoed. You understand what I'm getting at? They don't know that, but on the other hand, you would think if they actually were doing their research, they would surmise that that information is already out there. But they're obviously new to the process, don't know to ask, and so are saying that they'll basically go out and essentially reinvent the wheel. But again, if the city had a professional process, that would not be necessary. And this proposal would have offered a lot more money up front than $10,000. Okay. Just, straight up. Okay. So, hold on a second, folks. I'll be right back. Hold on a second, folks. I'll be right back. Something going on outside. Mom? Christmas. What happened was a fellow went by and caught him. Fellow went by and I caught him on camera delivering a FedEx package. He ran off. So when I looked at the phone has this notification that comes up when someone or anything is outside, and didn't ring the bell. Okay. I saw him running off, and then I saw him getting into a truck, and I have a camera up here, got a bunch of cameras around that hits the garage, right? And that camera caught the U-Haul. So bottom line is Christmas is still going on and gifts are still being delivered. So I apologize for the unknown interruption, but that's what was happening. Let me go and before I finish discussing to deal with some of your early questions. It says, Dave is a conflict of interest. He works for the A's. I don't know where that would be a conflict of interest because there's no written, law. If in that case, I mean, let's go down the line. Dave Stewart is not representing. He's not sitting on a City of Oakland board. He is not executive director of the JPA, basically engineering his own deal. If that were the case, you would have an issue. Okay. But if Dave Stewart is a member of the A's, okay, fine. But technically he's not. He's not listed as a paid employee of the A's. Being an ambassador is a title, or emeritus is something different, right? But not at all. So Richard Hike says, says he's one of our electors. This is very interesting. Corey Brown says, hello, just came in. What's his reason for trying to buy it? That's a good question. And this is the first in a number of posts and videos to get to that. I started to actually call, and I will call Laray to ask him, how he got involved in it, if he wants to answer the question. He may. I have no idea what he will do. Okay, I have no idea what he will do, or the other parties that, or Dave Stewart, because they probably undoubtedly didn't expect this to be out in the open, and it is, and there's no law against it being out in the open. This just isn't. So what is at note here is who asked him to buy it and who asked them to get involved. And I know that the city has told me that the man that's over this told me that they have a number of people. Larry Gayoga said they have a number of people who have expressed interest in this, and basically Ray Bobbitt's actions and the actions of his team, the people and the press and everything, and the way they've done things has served as a bit of free marketing for the city of Oakland. Okay. And so this goes on to say utilities appraisals and site development of seller's possession within 15 days following the execution of this letter of intent. Seller will provide Dave Stewart, and this will be the city of Oakland, basically providing them with site plans showing utility infrastructure, easements, that sort of thing. Okay. And again, this goes back to my initial point regarding what the city of Oakland would already have in a computer file if this were done professionally, and if an organization like this one passed a series of gates to determine if they were, as my now former boss, Elihu Harris, when he was mayor, used to say, live, real, or Memorex. And right now, there's nothing to determine that. So right up front, okay? So now this calls for extra City of Oakland staff time to determine the viability of Dave Stewart's plan, which really could be saved if the proper gates were developed right up front. And again, it's also a way of helping someone. If they have a certain economic weakness in an area and yet have a strength someplace else, then the city could have a way of assisting that person or persons. But the city doesn't have a process like that. Again, it's the Wild West, literally. Site control and marketing by mutual execution of this letter, seller, City of Oakland, grants Dave Stewart and LJB exclusive control of the property, the exclusive right to obtain any and all existing plans and surveys, the exclusive right to begin marketing the property for any and all planned residential, commercial, retail, office, and or entertainment purposes. Now, here is where I believe their newness at this shows, in a sense. They don't mention themselves as master developer and wanting to get other developers, nor do they show any kind of partnership here. Brokerage firm representing the seller is to determine condition of property, as is contingencies. They say that their obligation to purchase the property is contingent upon the terms and promises set herein and further defined within the final purchase contract between parties. Exclusivity upon countersign of this letter of intent, seller agrees that buyer shall have the exclusive right to negotiate. So they want an exclusive negotiating agreement. Confidentiality parties here too, so maintain in confidence all information relating to this agreement, and shall not disclose any such information to any other party without written consent. Well, because it was certainly passed to me, and if it was passed to me, it was passed to someone else. Additional property interest. We are also very interested in learning about any other surplus properties that the City of Oakland and or Alameda County may have available for public sale and or redevelopment. We will also consider any co-developer relationships, here you go, that may be available to develop any Oakland area properties through potential joint venture relationships. Now, interestingly, they don't say they want to have a co-developer for this project, which I think they need to do because they don't have any apparent strength here, okay? Now, they would argue, if they would argue this, they would say, no, we don't. And that's not true, Mr. Abraham. They would say, we have a project that we're developing in Maryland, and would probably ask me, and I do mention that in the Oakland, News Now account, and the project, is referred to as the County Center Prince George. And it looks like they don't say that they're going to use this as the model for Coliseum City, but the simple fact of the matter, if you take a look at the agreement up top, all right, is this. The agreement at the top, if we go back to it, has this, it has all the way at the top this reference to a URL, okay? And that URL is called, right here, take a look, see that website right here, www, let me center this website, www.countycenterpg.com. That's countycenterprincegeorge.com. So let's go to that website, and you can see what he has there looks like, and get some taste for what he says he can do in general. And so I have right here, County Center. There it is. And the website is opening here. And we will go back and open up the proper page. Anybody has any questions, you can post them right there, like Corey Brown and Richard Haig have done, or I encourage more questions. And so we will, in the interim, call up the website that they have developed. to show you the project. And here it is. It's that. Okay. It's pretty nice, actually. Okay. County Center, Prince George's. This is the development proposal. Now, this is not built. Okay. They say they're now selling. All right. But let's go through it, because I didn't find any news accounts. I didn't find any evidence of a planning commission hearing that had approved this. Nothing. Okay. It goes on to talk about how it encompasses 46 acres, talks about the development site zoning, and it says that they have a complete package of site activation plans, proven development experience, and long-standing domestic and international partnerships, and overall walkable community that will support the relocation of your family or the expansion of your business. But the trouble is that when you look at these, okay, it says now leasing on LoopNet, and they say it's opening 2019, 9800 Landover Road, right? And that was last year, all right? But I don't see an actual building. And look at it. It says this office property is no longer advertised on LoopNet. See that? Okay. So this is beginning to, I mean, I don't like to be insulting here, all right? But it's beginning to look like vaporware as we go through this, all right? And this is something that you want to really just embrace and take seriously, just because, right? It talks about County Center, Prince George's living, class zoning, parking. All this is planned. All these are plans. It has the traffic counts, the frontage type, says it's located less than 1 mile from FedEx Field, home of, well, it should say the Washington football team. They still have the other name there. And then they've got demographics, medical district, residential district, business district, developer. So let's click on developer. Okay. And it says developer. It's community support. They said Prince George County Economic Development Corporation, strategic relationships. There's nothing in terms of evidence they received permits to build anything here. They have design professional services that I suppose they intend to work with or are. And these are logos, but they're not click-throughs to the websites. And so there's business district here. All right. Then it talks about office retail. And look at this. All right. This is not, if they have the land, it's not clear do they actually own the land? I suppose they do. Perhaps they own the land. But if they own the land, it's not clear that they own the land. But I would think, on the other hand, in support of their efforts, they're probably trying to get someone to develop on the property in this way. That's not quite made clear. Then it says news events. All right. News events. News events. Regional Medical Center up for approval. Now, here's some good news. A new state-of-the-art teaching hospital has been recommended for approval in Prince George's County. All right. This certificate of need has been recommended for approval by Robert Moffett. And they have details here. And that's the Regional Medical Center. This is 2016. All right. And this was written about in the Washington Business Journal. So it may very well be that they own the land here, but it's not clear. Then it reads that Prince George's County earns 5 achievement awards in different categories, but that has nothing to do with the organization. Then it talks about a guarantee for Prince George's Hospital project. Okay. And there's a press release on how the government's been buying up buildings. So this is all well and good, but it doesn't really relate to the development project at all. Because how would you have a development project with a laid out master plan and you don't have the medical facility described? You know, it's not clear. But you go to contact here. All right. Thank you for your interest. And it asks you to email countycenterpg.com. All right. And it gives you the phone number and the address. But folks, this is the same address as Laray Benson. It's his home address in Michelleville. I'm not trying to dox anybody. This is information that's out there. Okay. But there's nothing wrong with that, but you can have a home out of your office today. It's the pandemic, right? But it gives the picture that there's something available that when you study it and you look at the links and they take you to the pages where this property isn't for sale or a URL that doesn't work anymore. This one does. It makes it look a little questionable. Okay, questionable. And I say that because the background here is not the kind of background you want with a developer. What you want, okay, is this. You want to be able to go to an organization like, let's say somebody told you, hey, there's this new town called Celebration, Florida, right? And you would say, oh, what's that? And so you type Celebration, Florida, and you go to the website, and what you see gives you the idea that something really exists. And let me show you what I mean. This is right here, Celebration, Florida. There. Already you can see the difference, okay? But let's go deeper for those of you who would be not convinced. This is basics, fine. It talks about community notices, which means that there's activity going on. Then there's celebration news, right? Communications, events, community governance, Celebration Residential Owners Association. You've got your contact, which is your feedback. Now you would say, oh, come on, Zinni, that doesn't show much more. And then I would say, okay, well, let's look a little bit further. For example, they have a Facebook page, right? So let's take a look at the Facebook page. Celebration Town Hall. Celebration. 851 Celebration Avenue, Celebration, Florida. Located in Ocala County, the Celebration community has successfully combined education, health. Okay, it has, all right, and it says Celebration has successfully combined all these, and they have a town hall. They have these interesting photos that imply community is going on, and unfortunately, they have news about some passing. And so there's truly activity that implies that they're residents that are living in Celebration. And on top of all that, when you look at photos like so, there's mobile uploads by the many, a lot of announcements, Holiday Fest, Celebration Town Hall, which means somebody's been partying there. Okay. Farmers Market, Boardwalk, people. All right. There's a lot going on. Folks, what I just showed you, and what I'm showing you right now, is a new town built by the Walt Disney Company. Active, moving forward. Let's take another example, other than Celebration in Florida. Let's say a new town, or let's see, how about mixed use development proposal. I'm just doing this randomly, proposal, okay? And proposal for a vibrant mixed use. This is in the city of Fargo. Okay, this is a proposal. All right, this is what I would like to see in a proposal. Take a look at this. All right, right here. Boom. Okay, Fargo. Proposal for a vibrant mixed-use development presented to the city of Fargo by ECTW Alliance. Right off the bat, this is clearly professionally done. Okay, it has contents, cover letter, project schematic, finances. Let's go to page 12. All right, finances. Page 12. Okay, past the designs, the project schematic, the area, where it's clear they've done their homework. Okay, this is a professional presentation. This is what the city of Oakland should ask for, this type of style. All right, and then on 12, right here, it says, let's stop it here. That's 13. Let's see, it should be finances instead of get a building. Enclave development, it's called. Nice renderings. Nice architectural schematics. Finances, okay? It says estimated cost $10,025,000, gives you land value, lot contributes, sale of lot, sale of retail, bond financing, 8.7 million, total value. All right, 25-year bond financing proposed. All of these, this is very detailed. Okay, so when I say the other one is light on details, this is heavy on details. This is what you should expect to see. City-owned parking structure, concept A. They have a summary of significant facts and financials. They say it's 100% privately funded, financed, and owned mixed-use development. Mortgage financing, private funding, total value. And you can then ask, okay, who's involved there? But they give you, and they have a spreadsheet. They have a spreadsheet. They worked out the numbers. All right. They're pro forma. They worked out the numbers. Okay. It's all here. Okay. It's all here. And cost description, total amounts. It's all here. This is what this is the city of Oakland's job, to present a website that, regardless of the project, for any city property, calls for this kind of presentation. And it should have little examples they can click on, a person click on to see, so they're not sending some 7-page document that says, we've got $10,000, we'll put in escrow right now. I mean, I have, well, okay, you don't need to know that, but the whole point is, you know what I mean? Okay, then look, listen to this, who we are. As one of the largest dense developers and builders in North Dakota, Enclave Development has earned a reputation for completing financially successful projects through North Dakota. Now, keep in mind, folks, I found this just by common search. Yeah, I know what I'm doing, but I found this by common search, okay? All right, and then this is at the top of the result for mixed-use development proposal. Bam! Right in my face, okay? All right? Established in 2011. They say, hey, what is it that makes us different? They're multifamily senior retail mixed-use expert. At Enclave, we approach every project by first spending significant time understanding the beneficiaries of the finished project, including end users, which actually is an example of where Dave Stewart's proposal got it right, okay? In terms of intent. This is the neighbors and community, all right? This is an important step, allows the team to develop communities that serve the end user while having a positive impact on its neighbors and the community. We recognize the financial and market analysis will drive what makes sense to build, who it will be built for, and what budget we have to work with, and so on, okay? Then the identification of the entities around. And then they talk more about who they are in terms of their architect they're working with. City of Fargo experience as a co-developer, North Dakota experience as a state co-developer, and then what TL Stroh has done in terms of its apartment building here, architects, and goes on here to discuss that, and then more about the identification of entities. Cunningham Group Architecture has 9 offices, and they have 48 years bringing market to place, does Cunningham Group, and discuss urban living, mixed-use developments, and urban infill projects that they're involved in. This is 700 on Washington, the Radius, the Avenue. I'm reading all this for the first time, okay? Play, brand hotels, boutique hotels, and resort. Cunningham Group has provided quality design services, okay? That's what this is about. And so working with Enclave Development, parking structures. This shows their portfolio, both of Cunningham Group and also Enclave Group as developer. Cunningham Group is architect, and then, for example, in Union and Berkeley Riverfront project in Kansas City, they were the architecture group. The project was $50 million. They tell you what they're involved in. This gives you, and this presents to you that they have the credibility, the certainty, and the capacity to do the project. Okay, this is what Dave Stewart and Laray Benson's proposal lacks. All right, and really, it's a great lesson for everybody that's involved. Rick Tripp, for example, has none of these. Okay, what Ray Bobbitt is talking about isn't development. He wants to assemble a group to buy an NFL team, which requires really a different set of assembly factors in terms of money and capacity, right? But it still requires the presentation of them, and they're doing a good job of presenting those are the materials that they've rolled out so far. They still have, by their own admission, a ways to go, but it's because you're talking about something that ultimately is going to cost north of $2 billion. That's a tall order. And there's only a handful of people in the world that can pull that off. Let's be honest. Something like this, though, all right, there are tons of examples of how to get this done. Tons, all right? Tons of examples of how to get this done. He says, according to Google's David Stewart has a net worth of 10 million. That's great, okay? But here's the thing, and John, no one that I'm aware of or anybody else is aware of is going to spend all of their money on one project. Remember what I just showed you with the City of Fargo example, and they show the sources and uses of funds? Those funds, the fund flows, it doesn't say come out of rich person's pocket. It doesn't matter that, and there may very well be people involved in that project that have 10 million or worth 10 million or maybe half that of Dave Stewart, but they're not going to spend their money. You engineer a project, the whole purpose of which is to have a flow of funds to finance its construction. What you're looking for is to have the right to develop on that land, which then attracts you the financing, okay? If you have a good track record up front, you may be partnered with somebody who can provide that financing already because they know that you have the connections to get that project, those project permits, okay? Once you have the land permitted, that in and of itself is money. If you are in a position where you can be master developer, particularly if the city is leaving you alone, per se, and you know the lay of the land, you're in high cotton, as they would say. All right. So, but again, but the point that I'm making here is that the city of Oakland, it's the city of Oakland's fault. You have weak proposal of that kind, or Rick Tripp's for that matter. And Rick should know better, and that's why I question Rick's real intent, because the proposals he's put forward. I mean, look, I can't go back. As long as he's been making proposals to the Coliseum per se, I can't go back to anything he's done anyplace else and say he did that and did that and did that. When he asked me to send him a spreadsheet, he sent me a development punch list, not a spreadsheet showing flow of funds. Remember in the Fargo example, if you didn't see that before, I'll make sure you saw that. There was a flow of funds, okay? Here, and let me go back and show you what I mean. There was a flow of funds. And that flow of funds is here. Well, I'll make something clear. I'm not paid for this. This is my company doing this. A lot of you know that I know Ray Bobbitt and I'm big advocates of what they're doing and have given them a lot of advice and everything, but this is not paid. I want to make sure that's clear. This is Zenny 62 Media reporting the news on a project, information that was given to me, and by a third party who's a fan, who I thank you. And there's a lot of those folks out there, including many of you. So I don't want to make sure I didn't pass by that. And thank you all. But here is, oh yeah, see cost description, development cost. See that? There's a spreadsheet. Okay. All right. Look at that. Pro forma. Look at the top of that. Look at the top of that. Pro forma income statement. All right. Okay. Let's zoom in a little bit more. So hear that? Pro forma income statement in black and white. Pro forma income statement shows the flow of funds expected. Gross potential rent, month-to-month rent, garage rent, 0, vacancies, negative, uncollected rent, rental incentives, and then it gives you the per rent and the net collected rent, which is 3.3 million. All right. This, of course, is pre-pandemic. But it's all here. And at this stage of the game in our society, examples like the one I just presented to you abound. You too can present a credible development concept. The only question is, do you have the financing to back up what you present? All right. There's something else that I have to note regarding the Dave Stewart proposal before I close. And that is that when I looked at Mr. Laray Benson's background, all right, and I didn't look at his background. I didn't do a background check and all that stuff. You know, that's a little much right now, but someone will, okay? And what I found in looking at his proposal, all right, is prior to 2012, it seems that a man by the same name and Laray Benson, actually, but Laray J Benson, not Laray Benson, but Laray J Benson, okay, was very much, how do I say this? This person's background was as a, here he is, okay, Laray J Benson, all right. Now, he says he has 20 years of construction and accounting and development experience. All right, that's what he wrote. He wrote that in a number of documents, and has said that, in other words, basically that he has the credibility, certainty, and capacity to pull this off. But in this letter, He doesn't purport to have that background. Okay, so you have to look for it. Who is it that I'm really dealing with here? I don't know. There's a lot about closing costs. This is a letter that's a contract. Here, just do this is what they're saying. All right. But I want you to look at something here, because this bears paying attention to, and it is excuse me. Shut that down. Sorry. Okay. Seems like everything wants to open when you're busy. I mean, cyber-wise. So let me show you something here that I found of note. Okay. And this is what I got when I type Laray J Benson. All right. And stop screen, and I'll go to the search results here, Google, and voila, open says me. And what you find, and I'll read them: Laray J Benson LLC, LJB Enterprises. All right, and go tribe. Okay, and I click on this. And this is funding since inception of his LLC, which is really originally 2012. No funding data. DBA not listed, division, and some it says is minority owned, self-certified business types, minority owned, self-certified, for-profit, limited liability, Black American owned. Yeah. Okay. Now, I find court records where Benson versus MS, okay, MS PB. And to cut to the chase, folks, he worked for the Nuclear Regulatory Commission and is what appears to be, unless this is an entirely different person who just happens to have the same name, appears to be another life, okay? And then I find this LinkedIn page, Benton Laray. I don't know that's him or not. This talks about if you live in DMV and have a need for water mitigation, damage repair, plumbing issues, carpentry, I would highly recommend y'all give Van Hart and his company a call. He's promoting a business. Great. I don't exactly know if this is the same person, but there's no J in the middle. So, there's a J. Laray J. Okay. Then United States District Court, civil action against Bank of America. He sued them. He was suing the Nuclear Regulatory Commission for matters of racial discrimination. Then there's Laray J Benson Enterprises, Michelleville, Maryland. Remember I said the address was essentially the same? Look at the address, 1731 Stourbridge Court, right? Same address as on the Prince George development proposal. This is his home, okay? So I hate to say this, but this looks weak. And so it opens up a lot of questions. How is Dave Stewart involved here? Why is there no document other than this contract that has Dave Stewart and Laray Benson, truly made it? Why isn't there a photograph of them standing together like, Mark Davis and Shel Nails, right? There's none of that, okay? So again, the fault of this is the city of Oakland. The city of Oakland, with this free-for-all attitude and using, frankly speaking, using Ray Bobbitt and his ability to get press to market the city's side of the Coliseum City for sale, essentially driving up the price, is the reason for why we are looking at this. And what the city did was wrong. And it is wrong to use Ray in that way. I said this in writing, and I'll repeat this as I close. We're coming up on 2021, and as the year passes, we'll be reminded of the horrible events that have happened to George Floyd and that gave rise to the resurrection of Black Lives Matter movement. What happened after that was what we have today. Thousands of people in Brooklyn, 90% white, all marching to say that Black Lives Matter, but also saying, because many of them are involved in different businesses, that they want African Americans involved and they support Black ownership. You have financial organizations. You have companies like Facebook saying they want to help Black owned organizations. So in all of this, you got the city of Oakland basically futzing around with a gentleman, Ray Bobbitt, and his team that have a great intention of wanting to form an all Black or mostly Black, they're not going to turn away money, or group to bring an NFL team, an expansion team to Oakland. There's nothing wrong with that. But the city, and this starts with Laray, District 7 council member, and the mayor, because this is happening on Libby's watch. Libby can't sit back and allow Laray to just basically take the lead, if you will, and then act like it's not going to wash off on her. Libby's the mayor. She's the CEO of the city. So the CEO of the city and Laray need to take charge of how this has been done and stop with this laissez-faire attitude, because it's this kind of approach that invites shenanigans, accusations of pay to play, and all kinds of involvement by people who are fake, who might be FBI informants looking for somebody Black to blame on something when the Black person didn't do anything at all. The city is at fault for this, all right? The city is at fault for this. It's the city of Oakland's game that it set up. And it says to the world, to anybody who's really serious about getting anything done, like Joe Lacob or Mark Davis, hey, you know what? We're not serious. It says that we are more trying to play developer, and we kind of like the idea of hobnobbing people who have money and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, unless you give us exactly what we want, which sounds bad, you're not going to get the chance to build. And if you're Black, oh no, okay. I'm saying that's the image the city of Oakland puts out again and again and again. It's got to stop. It's not a matter of when is it going to stop. It's got to stop now. No big city, no city, regardless of size, should allow itself to be accused of such unprofessionalism. And look, this didn't happen just with me. Joe Lacob said it to me in 2012. You've had a number of people say this. The city, it's not a matter of when the city is going to get a clue. The city must, more than get a clue, it must right its ship and do things that we used to do. We used to have a process. We used to be extremely professional. But after redevelopment was killed in 2010, in 2012, really, okay? You type economic development in Oakland, you can't even find a credible economic development page. And the one that's there advertises a private organization, Kiva, not owned by the city of Oakland. That's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So there's my presentation, and I look forward to your comments. Subscribe to Zuni62 and bookmark oaklandnewsnow.com. Thank you. That concludes.